I've been telling you guys there is no interest in pretend basketball. I have been telling you guys for years, as the mainstream media has intentionally lied to us. These elite athletes are amazing! This is the best basketball in the world! Woohoo! Yes, yes, yes! We have been talking about this here on the channel for years. The so-called growth in women's basketball is an illusion. For starters, it's easy to show.
The WNBA's latest contract talks have exposed a harsh reality, a financial structure so fragile it has accidentally locked in Caitlin Clark's dominance. Her career is not just thriving anymore. It is now undeniably safeguarded by the league's own instability. She has become the one asset the league cannot function without. This goes beyond pure talent. It reflects a struggling system desperately holding on to its final support. What is coming out of negotiations shows extreme player compromise and serious organizational weakness. All of it pushes Clark into a position that cannot be challenged. This is the reality. Without her, the entire structure collapses, which ironically makes her future secure inside the disorder.
For years. The so-called growth in women's basketball is an illusion. For starters, it's easy to show growth when you're growing from nothing to almost nothing. But people were not watching women's basketball. People were not paying $10 to be sedated while the Chicago Bravado airballed layups against the Las Vegas Anonymous Faces. Contrary to the prevailing narrative in the mainstream media, Angel Reese is not a draw. AJ Wilson, but my name is A.
For nearly 30 years, the WNBA has operated at a loss of truth hidden behind a carefully crafted growth narrative. The league has consistently generated negative net revenue, meaning it has lost money since day one. This is not insider information. It is the financial foundation behind every deal and decision. The belief that women's basketball has been booming is a myth built on a model where income never meets expenses. This long-running deficit is the dark backdrop that defines both the league's future and Clark's place within it.
Narrative in the mainstream media, Angel Reese is not a draw. AJ Wilson, but my name is Asia.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
AJ Wilson is damn sure not a draw. From college basketball to the WNBA, and you can include startup leagues like Unrivaled, where sympathetic investors have wasted millions of dollars on a product that no one asked for. The only draw in the soon-to-be bankrupt ecosystem of women's basketball is Caitlin Clark. And when Caitlin Clark isn't playing...
Within this ongoing financial collapse, WNBA players put forward a stunning proposal. They demanded 30% of gross league revenue. This is not profit after costs. It is total income before bills are paid. The request ignores basic economic reality for a league that has never made money. It was so disconnected from financial logic that it instantly revealed a massive gap between player expectations and the league's survival. Given the fragile state of the WNBA, this demand made conflict unavoidable.
Draw in the soon-to-be bankrupt ecosystem of women's basketball is Caitlin Clark. And when Caitlin Clark isn't playing, people aren't watching. I told you guys when Unrivaled started, this secondary dump is destined for huge embarrassing failure. I am not a psychic. I'm not related to Miss Cleo. I'm no expert in the business of women's basketball. Apparently, neither is anyone else because they can't find a way to monetize this turd. But in order for...
By contrast, the NBA, which funds the WNBA, offered a far more realistic option: 50% of net revenue. That means players share actual profit after expenses, which is standard practice. The offer was balanced and built around long-term sustainability. Still, WNBA players refused it. They rejected a deal that acknowledged financial hardship and aimed for shared growth. This decision highlighted a sense of entitlement and exposed the divide between what the league can pay and what players think they are owed.
Basketball. Apparently, neither is anyone else because they can't find a way to monetize this turd. But in order for any business to succeed, you have to fill a specific need in the market, or you have to take an already established product and make it different, make it better. Unrivaled fails to do either one. There is no need for more women's basketball. Matter of fact, looking at these ratings, the market is clearly telling you we want less women's basketball.
The fallout from the players' demand is disastrous. Taking 30% of gross revenue would push the WNBA into roughly $700 million in losses. That single agreement would lose more money than the league has lost across its entire history. This is not just unstable. It is fatal for a league already barely surviving. The projected losses show a complete disregard for financial reality and emphasize how badly the WNBA needs a true economic lifeline.
Of water after spending a week in the desert. Season 2 of Unrivaled, opening night, they averaged 107,000 viewers on TNT. That is a 65% decline compared to last year. To make matters worse, and we talked about this last summer, Paige Bueckers is not a draw. Casey, that's just not true. Paige Bueckers is a huge star.
At first, startup leagues like Unrivaled were praised as a possible breakthrough that could give WNBA players leverage. The plan was simple: build an alternative where players could earn more, forcing the WNBA to compete. Investors backed the idea with millions, believing it could shake the system and empower athletes. This safety net was meant to give players confidence to demand massive pay increases without depending on the WNBA's weak finances.
Drawing power. Unrivaled is paying Paige Bueckers $348,000 to generate 107,000 viewers. I don't think I have to explain why that dog won't hunt. A side effect of these atrocious ratings is the decreased leverage it gives WNBA players in negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. The deadline to reach an agreement is today. Obviously, they're not going to meet that deadline, but that's okay. If you're one of the dozen...
Unrivaled's experiment has collapsed in dramatic fashion. The second season premiere on TNT pulled just 107,000 viewers. That is a massive drop of 65% from the first season. These numbers are undeniable. The audience simply does not care. This collapse erased any leverage players believed they had. The idea of a strong alternative league disappeared instantly, leaving players exposed. What was meant to be leverage became a public failure, destroying years of planning.
Around Christmas, WNBA players were threatening to go on strike. So, how did we go from that level of false bravado to WNBA players essentially begging to be paid in Ethiopian breadcrumbs? Lucky players will be paid in pesos. How did we go from "we demand millions" to "we'll work for breadcrumbs"? This is pure speculation on my part, but I think
To understand how severe this failure is, look at Unrivaled's first season, which averaged 313,000 viewers. That number now looks generous. The new ratings represent a fall into total obscurity. It was not just a bad showing. It proved there is almost no interest in basketball outside the WNBA. The contrast between last season and now highlights the league's inability to hold attention. Financial consequences are brutal at the player level. Paige Bueckers, one of Unrivaled's highest-paid names, reportedly earns $348,000, yet helped deliver only 107,000 viewers. Paying that salary for such limited reach does not justify broadcast costs. It shows players are massively overpaid relative to their market impact. Unrivaled's collapse instantly destroyed WNBA player leverage in CBA talks. Without another league, threats of striking or leaving became meaningless. The WNBA regained full control. Players were forced onto the defensive. Months earlier they were demanding millions and threatening work stoppages. Now that confidence has vanished, the narrative flipped from demanding riches to accepting scraps. This reversal exposes desperation. The most shocking outcome is that the 2026 season may run under the old agreement. That means surrendering demands for higher pay and benefits. Accepting outdated terms shows total defeat just to avoid cancellation. This choice costs players millions they were once offered. $1 million contracts were on the table, but pride led to rejection. Returning to old terms means forfeiting that money entirely. This self-inflicted loss proves how badly the market was misread. The refusal to accept net revenue sharing comes from one truth. Net revenue has been negative for 30 years. Players want guaranteed money without generating profit. They chase gross revenue because it hides reality. This entitlement sits at the center of the standoff. NBA owners who have funded the league for decades are losing patience. They are tired of covering losses and dealing with constant demands. This frustration signals real danger for the WNBA. In this harsh environment, the truth about other players is clear. Angel Reese is openly said to not be a draw. Even A'ja Wilson does not move mass audiences. Talent aside, they do not generate wide appeal. That leaves one exception: Caitlin Clark. The WNBA survives only because the NBA has kept it alive for decades. That history is its last advantage. With unrivaled gone and finances collapsing, Clark becomes the sole engine of hope. She is not just a star. She is the economic core keeping the league alive. Every failed rival and every concession increases dependence on her. Her career is protected because losing her would end everything. Caitlin Clark is not merely a player. She is the WNBA's final safeguard against collapse.